Welcome back to Wall Street Silver. Today we have a very special guest returning to the channel, Keith Neumeyer, the CEO of First Majestic. Keith, thanks for joining us again.
Well, great seeing you again, Ivan and Jim. I always love to be on your channel.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure having you on. Keith, we're having an exciting week for silver. What's your price predictions for 2022?
You asked me that right at the beginning of the call.
Yeah, I have.
Geez, today, we're just, it's one of these crazy days where, the Dow's down 1,000 points, or we're close to 1,000 points, and oil's down $3 right now, or it's it's just checking the market. It looks like it's bouncing all over the place. Silver's down 60 cents. It's giving back pretty well everything it gained over the last little while. So it's a pretty shocking day. But look, I think we're going to see $30 by the end of the year, and I think we'll see new highs on gold by the end of the year, quite honestly.
But you're now a gold company also. You bought Jarrett Canyon in Nevada, and gold is actually up today in the face of the market is. I mean, just so the audience knows, it's Monday while we're recording this. Gold is up today $3 while the market's in free fall. And you as a gold producer now, that sort of hedges your company. You're not totally exposed to the silver price, right?
Yeah, we are. Guys still call us a silver company. We're close to 50-50, both silver and gold. So the gold, we could survive on the gold. We could. I said in a previous interview just recently that we could stop selling basically all our silver and put it in the bank and run the business on our gold revenue. Which is pretty interesting. And going back 19 years, when we were in the 80-90% range of silver revenue, it was pretty hard to manage the business because we're so, as we all know, silver fluctuates so much. It could go up 10% in a quarter, down 10% in another quarter. And when you're doing budgeting, it's really tough. So it's very much a start and stop business. You're doing drilling, you're hiring people, then all of a sudden you have to turn around and let people go and stop drilling programs, and it's really chaotic. And gold doesn't have that volatility. So it's despite the fact I'm a super bull on silver, and I think silver's going to outperform gold over the next several years. Gold is really nice to have as part of our revenue base.
Mm-hmm. And what led you to do that? I mean, for the longest time, First Majestic, I think it was even a slogan. Was it an official slogan? One country, one metal?
It was. Yeah.
Was it the political changes in Mexico that led you to say, I got to get into Nevada? I got to have part of my business in a safer jurisdiction?
the easy answer is yes, but it's also asset based as well. There's only so many silver assets around, and Jarrett Canyon came to us through my relationship with Eric Sprott, and it made a lot of sense. It checked all the boxes except the silver box. When we look at M&A, we have to ask ourselves, some basic questions. What can we do as a management team to improve the asset? Can we reduce costs? Can we increase production? Can we increase mine life? And if we get yeses to these questions, then it becomes an interest to us for an opportunity to potentially purchase. And as I said, Eric and I go back a long ways, and it just made sense. So we did the deal. As a silver company, how do you grow? It's almost impossible because you just can't find good silver mines. So if you want to grow your business, you almost are forced to become a gold company. And that's one thing I've learned over the last 15 years.
And that's a recent. It used to be the number everyone tossed around was 1-8, right? The mining ratio. It's gotten worse, and it's real close to. We're gonna have to start saying 1-6 pretty soon. I mean, it's.
Well, I back 19 years ago when I put the company together, we were somewhere around 12 or 13 to 1. So that ratio has been dropping, quite regularly over the years.
I've heard you say that there's a silver deficit out there, but I listen to these other guys, CPM Group, Jeffrey Christian, and if you only listen to them, they're saying there's a well-supplied market, there's no issues for supply, anywhere in the near future. And it just seems, but then what we see from the mints, everyone tells us, I talk with Andy Scheckman, I talk with Tyler Wall at SD Bullion, I talk with Bobby Belandis at Silver Gold Bull. These guys tell me the market's so incredibly tight and the mints are just running, can't even make more product because they can't obtain it. I mean, what's the story out there? Why do we hear such different estimates of the deficits and supply in the market? It's like there's two different worlds that don't talk to each other.
Look, the numbers from these metals intelligence services are all a bunch of bogus numbers. They're all made up. Metals Focus, I don't know of anyone, and you mentioned Scheckman, and I talked to, the mints myself, and I talked to, different people within the industry, and I've never heard of anyone of these people getting a phone call from CPM or Metals Focus, asking them what their business looks like. I highly doubt that they phone up BMW or they phone up Tesla or they phone up Panasonic or Sony and say, hey, how much metal do you actually consume? I don't think they've ever done it. So how do you have an intelligence business collecting data when you don't even actually get on the phone and call people and ask them what they're doing in the business? Yeah. So all these numbers that CPM and Metals Focus, GFMS, I just heard the other day is gone now. They're out of the business of metals intelligence. But so we've only got two left now: Metals Focus out of London and CPM out of New York. CPM I think is pretty well. Most of their revenue comes from the banks. And so the data that comes out of that group is somewhat suspicious because just who's paying for that data. One of the reasons why, and I think you're going to ask me this question anyways, but I'll bring it up ahead of time, that we took our membership away from the Silver Institute was the fact that they use Metals Focus, and it's a big issue for me that the Silver Institute puts their name on Metals Focus data, which is completely inaccurate, and it's been a big issue for me for the last several years.
Well, I saw that previous interview where it came up that you guys withdrew or did not continue your sponsorship of the Silver Institute. And at that time in that interview, you said that there was a phone call planned. I guess they were going to try to lure you back. Has that phone call happened? And is there some final decision on your relationship with the Silver Institute going forward?
I did have a call with them, and we did speak, and I still have not changed my view. The crazy thing is, and I don't want to get into, I guess I'm going to get into the details. Just for interest's sake, but like they have a budget of about $1.4 million. Okay, First Majestic was our fees were about $200,000. So we're about a 20% contributor to their fees, and that's due to our size because it's calculated on a per ounce basis of production, and because of we're one of the larger producers, of course we pay the most, and yet they spent $400,000 on its silver jewelry report, of which there's no members that are in the silver jewelry business. And they spent $200,000, or I think it's actually $250,000 for the Metals Focus report, which is a bunch of bullshit. So half their budget goes to wasted efforts, and I think the Silver Institute should be supporting its members and talking about what we do. The fact that we converted 2 mines from diesel to LNG and our environmental footprint is reduced dramatically. This is important news, right? For that, and it's something that the mining sector should be patting themselves on the back for doing, right? And yet the Silver Institute doesn't recognize us for these types of things and all the other social things that we do in the communities, the schools, the infrastructure, all the stuff that we do. None of this ever gets mentioned. And of course, the importance of silver itself, in electronics and all the great green things that we're doing and so on. I don't know. I could go on forever about this, but it does really bother me a lot.
The current president is Bradford Cook from Endeavor for the Silver Institute. I mean, he's a peer of yours in the industry. Have you talked with him about it?
Yeah, that's who I spoke to. Brad and I go back a long ways. We've been in the business together for, basically the same amount of time. I think we're basically the same age, and we've had many beers together and many chats together over the last, couple of decades. So I know him quite well, and look, he's a genuine, quite a good guy. So I got, but he's. I don't know. It's there's a board of directors that run the show there. I'm not, and I had the same conversation with him that I'm having with you right now, and I'm not holding anything back, and I'm not hiding anything. And I told him the same thing, and he agrees. And that we'll see what happens if a year from now or 2 years from now the Silver Institute starts to do some of the things that I would like to see it do. Maybe we'll become a member again.
Well, we'll get him back on in the near future, and we'll ask him, why isn't the Silver Institute
talking about these things?
It's advocating for the industry. It doesn't seem like, I have a big problem with, a lot of, that we all look at that data chart they have where they produce where the supply and the demand is coming from. And it's a lot of BS. I'm going to do a share screen. I'm going to play a quick little clip that was on CNBC, and then I'll get your take from it. Hopefully you can hear this.
If you think of the history of silver, humanity has been mining this stuff since we discovered picks and shovels, right? There's plenty of silver above ground. A little like gold, it doesn't get thrown away.
Yeah, but that guy's an idiot.
Yeah,
I replied to that because the girl that did that interview was actually, was interested, in asking questions about what's going on in the silver space, and the guy was just like over the top with his answers, and I tweeted out to her, directly to her, and saying, look, if you really want real information about what's going on in the silver market, give me a call and we can talk. She of course never did, but anyways.
But her, the gist of what he was saying was, we recycle. We don't lose any silver to recycling. It's all recycled. We don't lose any. It's all the above ground silver. It's all recaptured, just like gold. I mean, it's just, and this is like an analyst for Bullion Vault, and this is what they put on CNBC, and they have no concept that tens of billions of ounces are sitting in landfills that. I mean, you've run recycling companies yourself. You told me you haven't run them. You've invested in 3 of them. You told me in the past. Yeah. And it's tough. What's the number? You said $70 an ounce is what it takes to recycle silver profitably.
It's, I don't know. You may, in today's technology, because these tech companies are so good at embedding this silver and gold into these circuit boards. It's tough to get it out. And this is why we've seen so many of these recycling companies go bankrupt, because they just can't make a profit doing it. And the Chinese now don't even take computer waste. They used to burn computer waste, and it was creating so much pollution that a couple of years ago they stopped buying computer waste from North America and Europe. And so all this computer waste is just accumulating somewhere. And I heard that the U.S. Mint might start buying some of it. So we'll see. I don't know how they're going to get the metal out of the computer boards, but maybe the U.S. Mint will go bankrupt trying to do it.
Something else I saw you recently comment on. Tesla did something interesting recently regarding, they made a deal directly with a nickel mine to buy some certain amount of nickel per year for their battery business. Yeah. So that's, I saw your comments on that about Tesla buying direct from the mines and removing the banks from the system. And, what's your thought? Is that something where the silver industry, the silver mining industry could also maybe skip the bullion banks and cut them out of the process, go mines directly to Samsung, directly to Apple, directly to Tesla?
Yeah, as long as we can, and in that deal, you notice quite clearly the language, it was based on the LME spot price. So the seller of that, I forget the name of the company, it was a Rio Tinto JV or somebody or other, but I think it was anyways, so Tesla was, all they were doing was locking up their supply based on market prices. and that's great for both sides, right? And you know, if we could do that as a business or an industry, I've been pushing that, because that would take the banks out of the equation. The problem is, you saw the numbers that just came out a week or so ago about Bank of America being short 800 million ounces of silver. You know, I can't even imagine that is true, or I'm told. I talked to Ed Steer just yesterday, and he told me that as far as Ted Butler is concerned, this is a real number. So you know, I don't know if it's real or not, but it seems like a very, very large number. So, you know, if you've got players like that in the marketplace that have those kinds of concentrated positions, you know, that's pretty crazy situation. And it's the paper market that allows them to do that, right? Because they know they've got some supply coming in from the miners. So they can hedge that, and they kind of know the timing of when this metal is going to be hitting their accounts, so they can kind of manage that book, you know, in a way that they, I guess, you know, make a profit, or I'm assuming they're making a profit somehow. But you know, but nevertheless, you know, you take that bank out, and boom, that short position disappears.
Well, you know, I've also heard some of the smaller miners already do sell direct. Guanajuato Silver, they've got a deal that's selling direct to you know, the smaller ones that are doing 1, 2 million, 3 million ounces a year.
Yeah,
they're selling direct to Sony. They're selling direct to Samsung. It's just totally skipping the bullion banks, and it seems like those relationships are developing.
Yeah, those the two deals that I'm aware of are both in Japan. And the Japanese have smelters, and then these two companies produce a concentrate, and the concentrate gets shipped over there, and because of their relationships, they can refine or you know, smelt the metal into products, you know, for these electronics manufacturers. And yeah, I'd love to do more of this. And you know, right now we sold over $10 million off of our website last year through to retail investors, which is a record for us. And we're hoping to see that number grow. But the bottleneck is really not so much in the refineries, it's actually in the mints. There is refining capacity available throughout the world, but there's no mint capacity. Yeah, so you know, we can't even produce, you know, or have the mints that we use produce more product, because they're all bursting at the seams.
Well, that's what makes First Majestic a bit, you know, why you have so many fans. Number one, I mean, most silver companies do not have a fan base, by the way. Keith, you actually seem to have a fan base for First Majestic, and I think part of that is the First Majestic Bullion store. You sell direct to consumers. And I think I actually met Todd Anthony, one of your top guys in your company, and he was telling me something like 5 or 10% of your revenue is now coming from your bullion store. Is that roughly accurate?
I would say, yeah, our revenues were about $500 million last year, and 10 million of that was through the bullion store. So
okay, so not quite that big a percentage, but yeah, it's growing though, right?
It is. It's growing substantially, and I would like to get that even bigger, but I need to go find myself a mint. You know, find me a mint, and then we can start.
Well, which mint are you using right now?
Scottsdale is our biggest mint. They produce most of our stuff. We used to use Republic until they went bankrupt. Unfortunately, we used to use NWT until they went bankrupt. And then Sunshine. It is, you know, we can get into that, and if you wish, but Sunshine is an absolute nightmare to use. Most of their business goes to governments, and you know, the companies like ourselves kind of get ignored. But Scottsdale is really on top of it, and I love the guys there, and they produce great products.
Yeah, I have your little cubes. I saw you playing with them in a video, so I ordered some myself, and
I love those cubes.
Great.
That's a very rare product.
It's normally out of stock, and then I saw it in stock. But you take them out and you play with them, and I just sit here and I play with them in my hand, and
it's my
it's just
favorite.
so much fun.
Yeah, it's my favorite product. And then still, those are produced by Sunshine, and they refuse to produce the forest anymore. They say it's because each one of those cubes is made by hand.
Wow.
Right? So they weigh the beads. They have these silver beads, and they weigh them individually. They drop them in this kind of tray, and then each one is 10 grams, as you can see exactly. And they melt these things, right? And then they stamp them afterwards. It's a very laborious process.
Oh yeah, it has your little First Majestic logo on one of the sides.
That's
it
so
says
cool.
10 grams on one side, and then else on the other side it has the FM logo. It's too small to put on the screen, but it's a beautiful. So you're telling me they're no longer made? It's a discontinued product, and it's probably got a premium of double what I paid now.
I wanted to get some of those.
Yeah, well, you might be able to convince Alex to sell you one, but because I think there's a couple hanging around the office, but they're technically off the website.
Back to First Majestics, you recently made an announcement that you had invested in Suma Silver, who is exploring in Tonopah, Nevada, and that you're already building up in Nevada anyways with your Jarrett Canyon. Is this a new thing? What's going on with the Suma Silver investment? What did you see in that company that interested you?
Well, for one thing, we really like Nevada. We look at Nevada as one of the best jurisdictions on the planet, really. You've got Ontario, of course, Quebec, and Arizona and Nevada. These are premier mining jurisdictions, and we're happy to be in Nevada. And but the challenge is finding good silver assets. If one of these companies actually develop an interesting silver asset, I want to have a piece of the pie. So at least I'm at the table. In case we decide to go in and be a little bit more aggressive. So it's just a way for us to be there. To get information, monitor it, what's going on, and look. Both BlackRock and Suma, they look interesting. The grades are like amazing. I was looking at the drill results just last week when I was talking to Todd about it, and when we were going through the analysis on whether we were going to cut a check or not, and I was actually surprised, with the grades, and that's really what interested me.
Is doing a project in Nevada where it's already close to a town, does that just sort of make a development way easier in terms of the decision-making process of whether you turn a project into an actual mine?
Well, the biggest issue is people. And if you're in the middle of nowhere, as many mines are, it's tough convincing people to come to work at the mine. No one wants to be there. It's like so you gotta build a gym, you gotta build a kitchen, you gotta build a bar, you gotta build a tennis court. I don't know. I'm not saying not necessarily tennis court, but you know what I mean. You gotta build a hospital. Sometimes schools. We've done that before as well. So it's expensive and it's difficult, and so your costs, of course, are reflected by the remoteness of the asset. So when you're close to a town, it's always an advantage. One thing we are learning about Nevada, though, it snows. And, it doesn't snow very much in Mexico, so we are going through a little bit of learning curve.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're a Canadian, though, right? You're
For me, it's fine. But we Jarrett Canyon, we had this blizzard come through, and the plant froze up, and anyways,
yeah, I got you.
We've never had that happen in Mexico before, so we're learning.
Well, and also there's another company in Tonopah, BlackRock Silver. You've invested in them twice now in 2021. Yeah. So is it sort of the same thing? It's BlackRock seeing the high grade silver that tweaked your interest enough that you wanted to have a piece of that pie in case that company develops something real that would be of interest to make a mine in the future? Well,
they're also very close to each other. I think their properties actually join on the northern border, if I'm accurate with that. So yeah, they're very close, and potentially, these companies might merge sometime in the future. Who knows, right? Because if they're both having success, that might make some sense because of their proximity to each other. And if that's something like that, obviously, develops, and something we want to, likely be part of, right? But, time will tell. We'll see how it goes.
So First Majestic, what are you looking for 2022, 2023, 2024? What's the game plan? What's the guidance that you guys are putting out there for the near future for your company?
Yeah, our objective is to get up to 50 million silver equivalent ounces by 2024, and we put that number out there a couple of times now. Our production, just for the record, is 27 million for 2021, and 55% of that was silver and 45% of that was gold. We don't produce any other metals other than just silver and gold. By 2024, at 50 million silver equivalent ounces, we'll be very close to 50-50, a couple of points on either side, but generally speaking, 50-50. And the nice thing about it is it's all doré bars. We're not a concentrate producer, so all our bars, all our metal is just in the form of these doré big slabs of metal, which we just ship to a refinery. Most of it goes to Asahi in Salt Lake City, so it's really inexpensive to refine into commercial bars, which is really great. We don't have to deal with smelters in China or smelters in Europe or things like that. So it's a really good advantage.
So thank you for joining us today, Keith. We really appreciate your time. The audience loves to hear from you. You got a ton of fans out there, and we'll talk again in maybe 2 or 3 months. Hopefully silver will be a little bit closer to your target of $30 an ounce next time we talk, and we can all be cheering.
Well, we have the Reddit anniversary coming up soon.
Yes.
Yeah,
right?
Next week.
One thing, we didn't touch on that, and First Majestic will be putting a sale out.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah, we'll be putting a blast out, and we should probably get you guys involved in that somehow, because it's a big event. Of course, it's a big deal, and need to get some more people in there buying physical, and maybe we can have it all repeat itself again. We'll see.
Yeah. God, we'd love to. I'm sure our day will come, Keith.
Yeah.
Our day will come. We're gonna see 30. We're gonna see 40. And we're going to break that 50 barrier. We're going to hit your triple digit number. I feel it. It's going to happen.
Break the COMEX, triple digit silver. Here we come.